All right, welcome everybody to another episode of We All Speak in Poems. Today, me and Chantal are just going to have a little quick conversation. It'll be a short one, a short podcast, just, about whatever. How's your month been?
I feel like that was so rambly. You were trying to emphasize so much this is going to be a short podcast, but you really rambled there. Okay.
Well, I just have to put it in their heads that this is exactly what it's going to be. These past 3 weeks, we put out Michael Ashsmith's episode.
Yeah.
And Lolatone's episode. Yeah. And I hope everybody liked those ones. They're great. Ever since I had the conversation with Sean from Lolatone, I've been enamored with him. I love him. I love it.
I love when people speak so passionately about something.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes you so hyped.
That's definitely what he is. Especially just, with all the instruments that he makes and just the music he makes, it's so cool. And he's just doing his thing. But yeah, it's just going to be a general conversation. How's your last month been?
Oh, a lot of changes.
Yeah, yeah, you're in the middle of changes.
Yeah, a lot of personal things happening and changing, and it's nice right now. Mm-hmm. It's been good.
Yeah, feeling good about it.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah, exactly.
How's it been for you?
Yeah, I've just been going through waves
of inspiration.
Inspiration and just, sometimes it's not fun,
Like when you have writer's block.
Writer's block and overthinking and everything. And this is where I'm trying to go with this, is I would like to open up a discourse about sort of artists' release scheduling, because so for me, in my mind, the way I want to do things is release a song every single month forever.
Yeah.
Right? But obviously that doesn't work. In my mind, I can, off the top of my head, think of 2 artists that have done the monthly releases for a year. And I don't know if you can. I don't know if you remember.
I know Lolatone did because it went with the seasons and stuff, and even the titles, they were all quirky as they usually are.
Well, he did it for one a week for a year, which is crazy.
Oh, one a week.
Yeah.
I thought that was one a month.
So the first artist...
it was 52, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
the first artist I can think of is Feverkin. Remember, he did his calendar project. He did January to December. And it was fantastic. And I only missed a couple of them, I think, when he was doing those. But generally, it worked out well for him.
Yeah. Worked out well in what sense? What are you trying to get by doing a song a month?
I think he was satisfied with the project, and it grew him as an artist, in terms of following and all that.
And that makes sense because you're being consistent and you're coming out with something so often that people aren't really able to forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's another band that did it. And a while ago.
Oh Wonder?
Oh Wonder.
Yeah. They did 2 songs at a time though, right? It was
it was only one at a time.
Oh, it was.
And I remember by the time, so I loved Oh Wonder's first 4 songs. And by the time the 5th song came out, I was like, I'm not into this anymore. Stop or drop the album.
I think it's just unfortunately for them, to our ears, it was too repetitive. Their stuff was so similar that it was kind of we feel like we've already heard this song. And, when we first found them, the songs that they came out with, we had on replay that whole month,
That's true.
So we were really tiring ourselves out of that style, I guess.
I also just realized they were also promoting the fact that it was going to be an album.
Yes,
and I don't think Feverkin did. Obviously, he had the calendar project that was going to be on a record after, but he never intended it to be an album. And even on Spotify and stuff, still, I think it's just singles.
Oh, really?
He never compiled them. I could be wrong about that. I can't think about it off the top of my head. But it leads to the interesting thing of in my mind, I'm worried about people either starting to not care because there's too much stuff coming out, or putting out a not great song.
Yeah.
Because there's too much pressure there.
Yeah, because there's such a strict timeline and a short timeline at that, unless you start the project early. If you were to do this, let's say, would you make this all 12 songs now? Or would you actually do it 1 month at a time and kind of whatever you came up with that month you would release?
I think I would want to do it where whatever I come up with that month is what I put out. Yeah. But I know the way that I am. I would get it all done like beforehand.
Yes.
And then release it slowly and then get tired of the idea by the time the last one comes out and hate it.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe it would be best for you to kind of do it the other way, where you have the song that you have to make within the month.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just worried about the off chance that I wouldn't be able to make a song for that month. You know, it's kind of like the podcast here. Like, we're so far ahead because I'm worried that we won't be able to schedule the artists or the people that we want to talk to, and we'll end up missing a week or two. And although it's not the end of the world, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not an artist. I understand with the podcast, because that's a different realm, I feel like. But I'm not an artist, so I don't know if this would be inspiring. But I feel like it'd be so inspiring to kind of, like, you're challenging yourself. Yeah. You're like, okay, I have to find time to make a song that I'm happy with in 30 days. Like, every month. That'd be so fun. I don't know. Maybe just try and do it and don't release it just to see if you can do it, or like if it's uninspiring to you, or maybe it'll bring more inspiration. Like, okay, sorry if you can hear Oreo in the background. My goodness. He can't get comfortable past like 2 minutes.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Good boy, Bob.
It's funny.
I guess that brings it back to the conversation we were having the other day, which actually I've lost the thought now. What did you say?
I was just saying that I think it'd be fun to challenge yourself and like almost force yourself to find inspiration.
Yeah, because the way that I work is I will go 3 months making a bunch of songs. Like I'll make a whole album in 3 months, and then I won't touch anything for 2 to 3 months, you know, like I won't want to. Mm-hmm. So and like we were talking about the other day, we were on a walk going through the forest, and we were talking about it. The idea of doing something every day, if you're able to stick with it, of course you're going to see great results, but it's not always sustainable and reachable. So maybe even, just thinking about it in the monthly thing, like even if you have 1 month where you make 6 songs and that you're happy with, still come back the next month and make something. I think maybe slowing it down like that is actually a really good idea. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any of the listeners are into New Year's resolutions. I mean, we aren't really. I feel like we always try.
I don't really like the idea of it.
I know. Well, why don't you like the idea of it?
I think it's the pressure thing.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I think because it's a New Year's resolution is the reason I wouldn't continue it.
Yeah, it's just not a good enough reason to stick with it, is what you're saying. Like, you don't... Yeah.
If I'm hating something, I'm not going to stick with it. Oh, because it's my New Year's resolution, you know, like fitness and stuff, even though I know I should.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of it is just challenging yourself and, like, forcing yourself to come out of your bubble.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I was going with that.
It's all good. But I do want to ask you as a listener, let's say not so favorite artist, an artist that you like, is coming out with music so regularly. Like, does it suck to miss releases, or does it not really matter?
I'm going to expose myself right now. I'm such a hypocrite. I feel like especially on the podcast, we really praise supporting artists that you like and staying up to date with them. And I don't do that. Mm-hmm. I go in really big waves. So, like, I'll listen to an artist, and I usually actually go through back catalogs before I really look at what they've released recently. And then, I don't know, like, sometimes I see that an artist that I like has come out with something and I get excited. And other times I'm kind of like, I'll listen to it later. I don't know why. I'm not really big on new releases, but at the same time, I don't go back and listen to, like, old music. You know, if that makes any sense.
Like old new music.
Yeah.
You have to wait a couple of years before it's old music, and then you go back to it.
I guess. Not that I have to, but it just ends up happening like that. I don't know. I get more hyped about finding music when I find it on my own than like when someone tries to introduce it to me, or when, you know, algorithms come into play and like, oh, people have new releases. And
yeah, I 100% feel that when you're just searching and then, or not even searching, you're listening to music and then all of a sudden something new comes on, you get much more excited about it. And, you know, it even happened with me this past month. Like, Slow Meadow has released 3 singles from his new EP. And the first one I was so stoked to listen to. And I listened to it, and I listened to it like 100 times. It was so good. And then the second single came out, and I didn't listen to it for a couple weeks. And then the third one came out, and I only just listened to it.
Oh, wow.
You know, like I don't know why that is.
But you really enjoyed all the songs.
I really enjoyed all the songs, and I'm very excited for the EP. And I know when the EP comes out, I'll listen to it that day.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that says.
I don't know either.
Like, is it worth it just to put out one single and then your project? Do people generally get less interested the more singles? Like, I know they do, especially when you hit a threshold.
You think so?
I mean, for Us Alone, when I put out that album, we put out 6 singles out of a 9-track album, or maybe 5. And I felt it, and I know people did because they commented like, why do you have so many singles?
Yeah. It's like overbuilding the hype, you know? It's like, okay, come
especially when they're so far apart.
Yeah.
Like, those were 6 weeks apart, all those 5 songs. And it was just, I don't know why that happened. So, like, would it have done better? Not that it did bad in any case, but would it have done better if it was just one single and then release, or even a surprise release?
Yeah.
Because I get stoked off surprise releases. But in the grand scheme of things with all listeners, does that work better or worse? I'm assuming worse.
I mean, I definitely think obviously everyone's different, but also every genre is different.
That's a really good point that I didn't even consider.
I also think it's like, we talk about this all the time, and it stems across every platform, not just Spotify or any other music platforms. But there's so much oversaturation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is a new song. There's probably like a million new songs coming out every single day.
Yeah.
And then when you really narrow it down to release day, which for whatever reason every artist follows, like, what is it, Thursday or Friday? Like, that's when everything. It's the same with movies too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the new movies are released the same day. And it's kind of overwhelming.
That's a good point. Like, even some of my favorite artists, like A Winged Victory for the Sullen came out with an album. I don't know if it was this year or last year. And they were one of my favorite duos.
Yeah.
You know, Dustin O'Halloran and Adam Wiltsey. I still haven't listened to the new album.
Really?
But I love their previous work, and I know I'll love it. But you
just haven't made time for it yet.
I mean, I've had time. I just haven't listened.
Yeah.
You know? And it's a really interesting thought. And, like, as an artist, should I expect people to listen to my new stuff? Or does it even matter? If they really connect with older work, should there be a,
like a reason?
Not a reason, just like a expectation for them to listen.
Yeah, I feel like you should always release new stuff and keep making new stuff, even if, as an artist, even if you see the numbers and it's like your old stuff is still doing somehow better than your new stuff, let's say, theoretically speaking, you should still make new stuff.
No, that's not what I'm asking though. But of course I'll always make new stuff. But should I expect the same amount of people, especially like the bigger fans that really connect with it? Should I expect them to even want to listen to new stuff?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Especially for the really big fans. Like, those are the people that are super stoked to hear your new stuff, right?
That's true. But your favorite artist, do you catch every release?
Probably not.
Neither do I.
But I was stalling for so long there because, like, I don't even know. I'm really bad at having favorites. Like I said at the start, I go in and out of things, right? So it's...
I feel like you have more favorite albums than favorite artists.
Yeah.
Where you'll get attached to a song or an album more than
and also, it's not only with music, it's with, like, everything. I don't get excited for things before they happen. It's really weird. Like, we'll be planning a trip and you'll want to talk about it every day and you'll be so excited, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I can't wait. Like, and like, obviously I'm genuinely excited, but it's kind of like I'm bad at
anticipation or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, well, it's not here yet. There's no point in wasting my energy. Like, might as well just wait. So, like, with even Tyler, the Creator's new album that came out this year, we were listening to singles and stuff, and I remember too, like, with the singles, I don't even think I was really listening to them. I think it's because I knew it was just kind of the singles getting ready to release the album. So I was kind of half-heartedly listening to the singles because I think when an album comes out or an EP comes out and I am excited for it, I really like to listen to it from beginning to end.
That's fair.
So when singles are released for a lot of artists, I actually find I have a hard time listening to them because I'm more excited about the album or the EP than the singles.
And that's pretty much the point that I'm trying to get across. And for anybody listening, I would love to know your thoughts on this too. Like, the only reason right now that there's always 6 singles before an album for big artists and really everyone now is for the algorithms.
Yeah.
And, for the DSPs like Spotify and Apple Music to get them on playlists. It increases the chance of that. But for an actual fan, I feel like it just burns us all out.
Yeah.
Like, by the time and as the artist too, by the time the 3rd single comes out, I'm like, the album still isn't out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so over it.
And I feel like, again, I'm not an artist, but I feel like a lot of artists, musicians, when they're creating albums, they have it laid out in a certain way to be listened to.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have 9 tracks or 10 tracks on your album and 6 of those are being released out of order,
that's
out of context, I don't know.
Yeah. And for me personally, I also like having really strong visuals with songs, and the more songs you put out as singles, the less you're able to have really strong visuals with all of them. The quality kind of goes down until the last one, which also has a really good one. It's like it's kind of like throwaway songs at this point. It's really weird. I find it very strange.
I find it really interesting how the whole music industry just does the same thing, and I guess it's not just with the music industry, like.
Yeah, there's a formula that tends to work.
Yeah, for every different type of.
But the more people that get into it, the less it works.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. Is like it's interesting how they're all doing the same thing, but it's like I feel like it's not working as well as however they used to release music. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an opposite prisoner's dilemma.
I wonder if we're the only ones feeling this.
That's why I wanted to talk about this.
Because I feel like there's probably so many people listening that are like, "What are you even talking about?" Like, I get so stoked when my favorite artist comes out with stuff, and like I'm always on top of it. And you get the emails from people that you buy from off of Bandcamp. I can't talk tonight. I'm so sorry. You get what I'm saying.
You said it perfectly.
Okay.
There's no reason to stutter or anything or to travel back. Which I guess brings us on to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which is just simply, catching up on what you've discovered this month.
Oh.
Or in the last 2 days.
I know. I was going to say, I think obviously.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about it though.
I guess the past month, if there's really been anything, but yeah, the past 2 days, I'm trying to think how it started before I go into it. I don't know. I found Tosh Sultana.
You had found Notion before.
Yeah, I found Notion on Spotify. Oh, okay. So about a month ago, my brother was over. We were playing board games, and you put on a playlist in the background on Spotify. And we were so caught up in our game and whatever we were doing, but then all of a sudden the song came on, and I was like, what is this song? And it was Notion by Tosh Sultana. And then like a week or 2 later, I was like, okay, let's see if I can find something else by her that I like. And I think we actually just looked her up on YouTube to see if she had a Notion video live.
Mm-hmm. And then we found her Tiny Desk, I guess. And
then her Tiny Desk, and then all of her other, like the bedroom recordings, the really old ones, those are the ones that blew up and actually got her famous. She is just so talented. Like the energy and the talent and the passion, just like I'm watching this through the TV. I can only imagine what it would be like in person.
Yeah, and you're just like, she is so cool.
Yeah, that's all I kept saying.
Yeah.
Do you see how cool she is? I want to be that cool. Oh, man. Yeah.
That's been your main one this month?
That's been my thing, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've been, like, I haven't discovered anything new this month. Like, obviously there was a new Slow Meadow singles. I think the EP comes out soon. I can't actually think of when that comes out. Hammock released a new album, which is obviously very good. Hammock's always
amazing.
Mm-hmm. I can't even rank their albums because they're all just different. They represent different times, for
Yeah.
me. I'm sure just like it does for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Benoit Poulard came out with his new album today, and it's very, very good, as usual,
Today, as in a week before this is coming out.
Yeah, today as in the 29th
The
of
29th,
November.
yeah.
And I listened to it, and it was obviously very good. He's got his very signature style, like the distorted ambient. It's very sick.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it and gets it so clean. And yeah, this month has just been interesting.
How do you go about finding new music?
That's a good question.
And like, how often do you try to find new music? Like, is it something that you like? Is it a daily practice for you? I'm saying like so much, but I feel like there's been a lot of musicians that we've heard about where kind of part of their writing process is finding new music, or even just listening to old music, old songs.
I think that's definitely when I'm writing music is when I
Yeah.
find the most music.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't been writing music lately. So my discovery of music has dwindled to pretty much nothing, at least new music. Like, obviously, there's a couple metal bands that I've found recently that are
Yeah.
pretty good. But in general, it's just been, I don't think I've actually been listening to music that much either,
Yeah.
which is interesting, which sucks. I hate these months
I
sometimes.
know. I feel like everyone goes through that
Yeah.
every once in a while.
It's like uninspiring. It's
Yeah.
just stagnant, it feels like. But in that time being, I've been learning a lot of stuff. Like, you go through these waves of what's the point
Yeah.
of a lot of stuff. And 2 weeks ago was that. The whole week, I was like, anything I would try to do, I would stop in an hour and be like, I'm not getting anywhere, so screw it. But last week was just, pure enthusiasm on my point, just from Blender and stuff. Learning new stuff.
Okay. I was hoping you would specify because I was like, you said that you haven't been making music lately, and you're not clarifying that it's with Blender. But yeah,
Oh yeah. I think it's just trying to learn something new and trying to get
Yes.
into a different
hobby.
headspace,
Yeah.
different hobby, which is just interesting, And like, I think a bunch of the projects that I've been working on for Alaskan Tapes, have kind of been coming to a close, like the music video and stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in December, we were supposed to put out 2 songs that had a pretty big music video, but that got pushed to January for anybody listening. And I'm okay with spilling those beans because it's fine. But I finally saw the final cut, or almost final cut, the other day, and it's a good looking video.
Yeah.
So like that's psyched me up even more. And like I have these 4 songs that are coming out right at the start of 2022. And okay, I'm just going to back up. Okay, so Seconds and Holler came out, and All We Can't See, and I can't even remember the other name. Although I like the track. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I'm really bad with names. So.
It's the 2 ABs that came out these past couple months. And it just sucks when you put out music that you're not super hyped on. Like the 2 piano tracks that came out, Seconds and All We Can't See, they were with the old piano. I don't feel like it was recorded well. They were written so long ago, like literally, I think I recorded the horns for All We Can't See probably over a year ago now.
Wow.
And it just sucked waiting, and it made me uninterested in the songs and not enthusiastic about them anymore. But these newer ones are newer songs, and they're coming out in a shorter period. And I just have to say, 12-minute song that's not drone is coming out, and I am so stoked on it. There's a couple things that I wish I could change, but I'm not worrying about it too much. Like, just pretty much the viola is not recorded super well because I couldn't be there with the violist when she was recording. But both those songs are sick. And actually that's the song that the music video is being made for, although it's an ambient version of that song. And even the piano track that's coming out with that is going to be really sick, and I'm just stoked, looking forward to that, and trying to envision where the project's going to go. Like, I feel like every artist has this where they put out stuff and then they wish they could take it back.
Yeah.
And those last 2 ABs are ones for me. Not because they're horrible tracks or anything, just because they're not up to standard, I feel like. And although the numbers don't match that, they've done pretty well.
That's
and I'm
usually
happy
how
with them.
it goes with you.
Yeah, true.
A lot of the songs that you're least happy with are the songs that do really well.
That's true. But I do wish I could just take them back, refine them a bit, and then throw them back out.
Yeah.
Because I got the new piano and stuff, and it was just too late to re-record them. We couldn't stop putting them out. You know?
Yeah.
It was already in the pipeline. Especially now that I'm on the label, it makes all the logistics of that more difficult. Yeah. More complicated.
To go back to what you said a while ago, how do you feel about long songs? Like, obviously you're really excited for yours to come out, but both as a listener and a creator, how do you feel about long songs?
I'm mixed on them because when they're really good, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
But if they're not that good, they're pretty bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
That was really good description. How
Like
you felt.
the payoff isn't equal, right?
Okay,
like
yeah.
it's harder for it to be a great song, and it's way easier for it to be a bad song.
I guess so, because it can kind of drag on or just change up too much, or yeah.
And I know where you're going with this. With Tosh's songs, they're all very long.
Oh, well, yeah. But I was also thinking of that one song that we both really like. I can't remember who it's by, but I know it's called "No One's Ever Going to Love Me."
Oh yeah, by Miles Gavin or something.
Is that who it's by? I'm trying to look it up quickly. Yeah, by Giles Corey. Giles Corey. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Oh,
That's
sorry. No one is ever going to want me.
That's a sick song.
It's a really good song.
But it's
such a build up. But I was listening to it today, and I feel like nothing really happens for the first, I think it's 8 minutes long. So the first 6 minutes, nothing really happens too much. And then you kind of feel the build up get bigger and bigger, and then the explosion happens like towards the end there.
In context of his full album, it works so magically.
Well, yeah.
But as a single, I guess like we've been talking about this whole time, it would just be confusing. It would be there'd be no point to it.
Not no point to it. Those are harsh statements, I feel like.
Not really.
But no, yeah, it's just out of context. Like,
yeah,
it's just not how the artist wanted you to hear it. I don't know. But I like it as a single, to be honest. Like, that's how I heard it originally, was as a single.
That's a tough one too, though, because the volume
changes so much. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
If you're playing it like quietly in your headphones at the start, or if you're playing it loudly at the start because the beginning's so quiet,
it'll blow your ears out.
Yeah.
And then when I normally listen to that one in the car because it's on my playlist, so it'll just come on, and I don't hear it for the first 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But I know it's the song, and then all of a sudden it comes in, and I'm like, that's
you have to listen to it. Like, you have to actually listen to it, though.
I really love that song.
The whole beginning, even though it's not too much, like, it's beautiful. It's a really good song. But okay, so now I feel like you've spoken about how you feel about it in terms of a listener, but what about a creator? When you're creating a really long song, like, how do you feel about that process?
It's hard. It is so hard to write a song, and it's so hard to be happy with a long song. But it feels good when you can do it.
Yeah.
When you finally get it. Like, this song that I was doing was kind of a fluke, and although it's 12 minutes, it technically is 2 songs.
Yeah.
Like the last 3 or 4 minutes is sort of the ambient version of it. It sort of fades out and then comes back up with the bass and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like that's where you were going with the Tosh Sultana thing, because a lot of her songs are very long and are like that, where it's kind of, you feel like, okay, that song could have ended and this could literally be a completely separate song.
And that's why it works for her.
Well, the discussion we had about it is maybe, if someone is listening to their songs separately or just on shuffle instead of like through a full playthrough of like an album, she's able to have more control over what songs are being put together technically.
Yeah, it's the exact same reason as when Tyler the Creator does it.
I guess so, yeah. I'm sure both of them, though, like, they're intentionally making that song that long, and they see it as one song, not as 2.
Yeah, in Tosh's point of view, yes. But in the Tyler point of view...
You don't think so?
No, I think he just puts the songs...
Because there is that transition, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a clear transition.
That's true.
And he puts the slashes in the title like they are separate songs. He just wants them to be heard together. And I think that's so cool.
That is so cool.
The fact that he still does it, even though he's winning Grammys and all this stuff now. Like,
what do you mean, even though?
Because he was doing it before, and when you're smaller, it's easier to experiment and just do weird stuff like that. But when you're bigger, I'm sure the label's like, what? Separate them so that we can push them and get more streams.
Yeah.
Or more sales or whatever. But the fact that he's like, no, like that, those songs are together.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does it with 3 songs.
Yeah.
Like I think he did
It was
on
the
Wolf.
bonfire. Yeah, it was Wolf.
Yeah.
It was the campfire one.
It was just
I
cool.
like that song.
And something to look up to as an artist. I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with long songs. You know, like
I agree.
the one that comes to my mind is Untitled 2 by Tarantel.
Oh,
the
yeah, we
guitar
listened
song.
to that one
It's
this
like
morning
9
too.
minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for the whole time almost, building slightly. And it's like the best song in the world.
It's so good. I think this is going a little bit off topic here, but I think with that song, like, I feel like the whole purpose of it is literally to just help you as a listener slow down.
Yeah.
And literally just focus on the moment. Like, that's how that song makes me feel.
Oh man, that's such an amazing song.
It's so good.
And I feel like that's why a lot of ambient music can get away with being
So
half an
long.
hour long sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is very cool to me. I've never made a song that long, but I want to.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
And we spoke to R. Benny about that
Oh, yeah.
in his episode that's coming out who knows when. Because he came out with an album that was essentially 8 different songs just as one song. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
And he was explaining, I can't remember exactly what he explained, just maybe it was the way he was written or something. But I loved it. And I think it's just one of those things where if you have a long song, it's like a present to the people who are actually listening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do.
Like as a listener, I feel that. Like with Tarantel's whole Untitled album, what's it called? Fear of Bridges? All the songs are so long.
I would love to figure out if you were right about that. So we recently read a short story.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the short story is.
Angel on the Bridge.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And it was about phobias.
I think the author's name was Chev.
Let's talk about this because this has been sticking with me. So when we read it, we have issues with the ending, but despite that, so essentially it's a story of a man who judges his family for having phobias of things,
and then he ends up.
And then he gets a phobia of crossing a bridge,
driving over the bridges.
Over a bridge. And
like big bridges though, not just like little ones. Like in it, he says that he can go over the little bridges, but he's from like San Francisco, so it's huge bridges.
And it's such an interesting concept. Like I love just the thought of what that book is about.
Yeah.
And yeah, my favorite Tarantel album is Fear of Bridges. So I desperately want to ask them.
Yeah, because as we were reading it, that line came up in it, and you were like, "Whoa, I wonder if that's where they got that."
And it's interesting going back to the Arbeni episode.
I was just gonna say.
I don't want to give it away too much, but
when
I was reading another book, there was a whole passage that I connected to Arbeni, and it ended up being true that he got these ideas from that book.
Yeah.
Without trying to spoil anything.
I know. Yeah, I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like when as a listener you kind of make that connection and
especially when it's not spoken about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, seriously, there's no write-ups, at least recent. Obviously Tarantel's not really a thing anymore. But there's no real interviews with them. There's a few, but they're few and far between. And they don't get into detail about anything. Yeah. It's like, oh, you guys came out with an album. Cool. You know, it's like a pretty basic interview. Oh man, I want to have them on because that'd be so cool. Tarantel's like the best, and they're not even known. Anybody listening, just go listen to Tarantel.
Like actually listen.
Like actually listen, especially Fear of Bridges, and I can never pronounce it. I think it's Epheria.
Oh yeah.
It's the EP with the song Searching for Things and Looking for Things. Listen to that one. It's great. It is so good.
I thought you were trying to mention a different album or EP.
No.
So I was so confused.
I love them. And then just the EP with Paperwhite on it as well, because that's a classic. But yeah, so that was pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. You know, I wanted to open up the discourse on what people thought of artists' release schedules and stuff, like what they think.
If they pay attention to it.
If they even pay attention to it. I don't even know if people do. And I have a feeling a lot of people are just going to say whatever the artist wants to do, then do it, you know? But thinking logistically, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
What do you think the best way to release music is? Do you think surprise releases are the best ones in terms of just excitement and everything? Do you think maybe 1 or 2 singles and then drop a whole album?
Or do you like 6 singles?
Or do you like 6 singles on a 9-track album?
Yeah.
I'm personally against it, but it's the way things are right now. And even I did it, and I just didn't have fun with it. But that's the only reason. And I hope everybody found some great artists in music this past month.
Yeah.
I know I didn't, but I'm going to be actively looking for next month.
And if anyone has any ideas or just things that they want us to talk about, let us know, I guess.
Yeah, because we never know what to talk about. We just kind of start and you get what you get.
But if there's something specifically that you would love to hear us talk about or any questions. Yeah, I guess that would be fun to kind of do like a questions one time.
Yeah, if anybody wants to send in some Q&A questions, we could do that for the start of the year.
I guess send it into the We All Speak in Poems Instagram.
Or Twitter. Yeah. And that'd be great. And yeah.
But thanks for listening to our rambles.
Thank you, everybody. And we will chat with everybody next time. And next week there'll be another great episode. So be sure to tune back in.
Thanks.